Hi, I'm Doc AJ Chua and welcome to Adjusting Your Heart. We talk about mental health and relationships every Friday, so please do subscribe. For today's AJ's book finds, I highly recommend Dr. H. Norman Wright and Lynn Ellis's book entitled Coping with Chronic Illness. This is in line with our last week video in which we talk about how to take care of a family member with chronic illness. Before I talk about the book, I'd like to briefly share my recent and second bout with COVID so that all of you will take extra precaution when going out. I'm not sure if I got the Omicron XBB or XBC, but it's definitely not the Omicron I got last January. It started with a mild sore throat, but when I started having fever, I took the antigen test and it showed that I had COVID. That was last October 22, Saturday. Thank God that though I felt tired, I was still able to conduct a mental health seminar that day and teach at MGC's Church Junior the following day. Symptoms took a turn for the worst on the third day. I woke up with severe pain in my throat. Even swallowing was very painful. I also have dry cough and slight colds. On the fourth day, I still have severe sore throat and was coughing more often. Thank God that I feel much better today, the fifth day, and that Hans didn't catch the virus, so he can take care of me. Thanks to all who prayed, messaged, sent food and medicines. We truly appreciate it. May God Himself richly bless you and your family. Again, please be extra careful whenever you go out. Dr. H. Norman Wright, who is now 85 years old, is one of my favorite authors, and I've read many of his counseling books. For this book, I particularly like his chapter entitled Rebuilding Your Life. So let me share his tips from that chapter. Tip number 1, rebuild your attitude. Being plagued with a chronic illness is an arduous journey. Pain in life is inescapable, but misery is optional. Tim Hansel, who had relentless back pain for 35 years after a climbing accident, said, "I cannot choose to be strong, but I can choose to be joyful. And when I'm willing to do that, joy follows." Joy doesn't depend on circumstances, but in spite of circumstances. Tip number 2, rebuild your thought life. What you think, feed your emotions. Instead of harboring negative thoughts, think of possibilities. Instead of saying, "Pain is my life," say, "My life is more than my pain." Instead of saying, "I can't stand this pain anymore," say, "Yes, the pain is bad, but there are steps I can take to help." Instead of saying, "I don't feel like getting up," say, "I'm going to get up." Remember, that will prevent muscle atrophy. Always focus on what you can still do. Maybe you can't run, but you can sit up. Or maybe you can stand. Or maybe you can walk. Continue to do what you can. Or you can try to write a rainy day letter. It's just like putting aside money for rainy days or time of need. When you have a good day, write a letter of what transpired, what made it good, what you did, who you talked to, or a Bible passage that encouraged you. Then put that letter aside. On days that you feel terrible and everything seems to be going wrong, take that letter and read it. You'll be focusing on a positive memory and be reminded that there is hope for good days. Tip number 3, rebuild your hope. Although difficult, you'll have to accept the reality and uncertainty of chronic illness. Then you'll be able to modify its impact on your life by letting go of unrealistic expectations. Think of chronic illness as an intrusion and not as an interruption. If you consider your chronic illness as an interruption, you expect to get well. Unfortunately, many chronic illness still don't have a cure. You'll have to learn how to manage it. Hope is not blind optimism. It's realistic optimism. A person of hope is always aware of the difficulties but lives beyond them with a sense of potential and possibility. Hope is accepting that you may not have total control of your illness, but you have control in some areas. You can tell yourself, perhaps I'll be this way physically, but I can grow mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. With Christ in your life, there is always hope, so trust Him. Romans 15:13 says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." So the 3 tips from coping with chronic illness. Tip number 1, rebuild your attitude. Tip number 2, rebuild your thought life. Tip number 3, rebuild your hope. If you're blessed by this video, please like, subscribe, and do click on the notification button and do share this video with others. You may also leave a comment below and share your insights with us. Do follow Adjusting Your Heart in Facebook, IG, TikTok, and Signal GCTV 185. Take care, everyone.